Welcome to Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. Let's talk some hockey. The season, it started last night, October 12th. There were two games. The second game was more entertaining than the first. Tampa Bay decided to not show up. I guess they won their cup last year, so they didn't have to play today. Pittsburgh walked all over them. One thing I have to say, a disclaimer for the NHL algorithm, which is what we're looking at. It's a predictive model for NHL games for this season. It doesn't work yet. It doesn't work at all yet. It's a disaster right now. As a matter of fact, I felt like making a really visual analogy to explain to what is happening in the NHL algorithm right now. We have last season stats in here. We don't have any of the current rosters really correct because players are falling out of here. I modeled the Kraken after the Devils. It's a complete disaster. The visual analogy that I'm going to give you is imagine a woman that has just given birth to twins, and it's like 13 hours later and they weren't delivered by C-section. The algorithm is essentially that. It is what everything below the waist right there. There's stuff everywhere. Things used to work last year, but now they don't work right now, and they're not going to work for a little while. They need to be repaired. So we lost a lot of things here yesterday. Really fun game with Seattle and Vegas. Seattle showed a lot of heart. They do have a good team, but losing everywhere. And you know what? I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust it today either. But let's take a look at today. Let's take a look at today, the 13th, and show what it shows. Even though do not use this, it's not going to work yet. But we're going to discuss what we're doing to make it work as we go through the year. So there are 5 games on the slate for Wednesday. And empirically, based on a lot of last year's statistics and the limited things that we have, it likes Toronto over Montreal. They're a favorite by the odds makers. It likes the Rangers slightly over Washington in like a 3-3 tie that maybe goes to overtime or a shootout. It likes Chicago with Marc-Andre Fleury in net to beat Colorado. Should be an interesting game as he moves over to Chicago. It likes Edmonton to crush Vancouver about 5-1, and it likes Winnipeg crushing Anaheim about 5-1 as well. But like I said, don't pay attention to much of this at all. It's a concoction and it's incomplete, and you can't trust it yet. But the reason why I did this video and why there's some value in discussing this is showing all the things that we need to do to get this thing to work properly. We have all the player statistics. And these are all from last year. And I've tried to assign the players their correct team for this year based on the depth charts that are listed on RotoWire. The problem is, once we start scrolling down and we get down to where we don't have teams anymore, right about here, we have all these players that have errors. And some of these players are currently playing on teams, but it's not working. Like if Alex Ovechkin plays on the Washington Capitals, why is this not working? The answer is a few different reasons, but you can see there's so many errors here that I simply do not have the time or the desire to fix everyone individually before the real season stats come in here, which is starting essentially right now. There's already been games yesterday, but this is not going to work appropriately or even accurately until every team gets at least one game in and people start playing games. So understand that this is very, very faulty right now, and the only reason why I'm putting it out is to show you how it's constructed. Some of the things that we're going to do with these player stats is we're actually going to organize them and pivot them here in this player's pivot. And this will help us color code where teams are strong and weak. For example, one of the things you can do in Microsoft Excel is you can grab certain areas and start to format them inside of a table. You can say, hey, I want large numbers to be green and small numbers to be red for these player contribution scores. And I want to apply that to every single player. And what that does is it's going to show you when you're comparing a couple teams and who's playing, we can start to do something like create a slicer. It's called insert slicer for team name, full team name right here. And, one of the closer games tomorrow, for example, was Washington versus, who are they playing? The Rangers. Washington versus the Rangers. Click both of those teams. Start to see where they compare and where they're stronger and weaker. Like the defense on the Rangers is apparently stronger than what Washington has. right here. The left wingers on the Rangers a lot stronger to what Washington's showing. That's because we're missing people on Washington. See, we have Mantha, Hag. We don't have Ovechkin in here because it's broken, right? We need to fix that, like I just said. So when we go in here and we fix Ovechkin and put him on Washington like he's supposed to be, and go back and refresh this, he's probably going to pop up on here somewhere. Maybe not. See, there's even more work that needs to be done. So I'll just stop the video and explain that there's a ton of work that needs to happen, and it's just not fruitful to do this until we have a full game stats in for both the goaltenders and the players, and the season standing sheet, which needs to be connected to, I believe, Pro Reference, where we get this. And this will automate when you have the file and you just refresh this. It will generally work and update the stats without you having to do anything. So that's a kind of a brief update. Like I said, these are wishing well predictions today. Do not count on this to work. That's my third time saying the disclaimer for what's going on with the NHL algorithm. But you can certainly enjoy watching some hockey. I'll be watching some hockey. I'll be certainly engaged in the Ranger-Washington game tomorrow, which should have more fights than goals. Get ready for that, as I'm sure Tom Wilson's going to be targeted. That should be something to watch. So good luck, everyone. May all of your picks be winning. Don't make too many picks unless you don't mind losing in this early in the season, but have fun with it because it's hockey. Good luck.